Good morning. Let's talk about writing a research proposal. So a research proposal will come in right at the beginning of a postgraduate study, and the aim of the research proposal is to really set out what you plan to study, why, the research questions, etc. We'll go into each section of the research proposal just now. But it's a very important document because it gives your institution and your new supervisors some comfort that you've done enough investigation about your topic and you know enough about what you're going to do before you actually do it, before you actually carry out the research. So I would advise that you do your proposal as well as you possibly can. It'll serve you well in the future, and it will be a document that you can refer back to as you go through your study. So there's 6 main things that need to go into a research proposal. Let's go through them. So the first is a title. Now a lot of students tend to agonize unnecessarily over their title. You can change your title. Your scope of your research will change, hopefully not too much, but spend enough time on a title that you think is going to last you through your study. And that obviously must go on the front page. And then you need to follow that up with some background. So get into the context of the topic that you want to study, a little bit about why that's a problem in society, narrow it down to your particular faculty and then your specific field, and all that should lead into the third important section of your research proposal, which is your research questions. And all great research starts with great questions. We've always learned more about the world around us when we've asked important questions about how it works, why things happen, and how can we better explain the world around us. And your research questions also equally important because they will set the tone of, let's say for example you're going to be doing interviews, or you're going to be gathering data in the field or in the lab. You're always going to be linking back your field work and the gathering of your data to your research questions. Don't make your research questions too wide. They've got to be narrow enough that you can get into the depth of them and that you can actually gather some specific data that is likely to answer those research questions once you've done the analysis. And then you need to describe in the 4th section of your research proposal what method you're going to follow. So, and that's not just talking about, is it a case study, is it grounded theory, is it qualitative, quantitative. You do need to choose an academic methodology and describe what that is and go into the literature a little bit, but you also need to bring in a little bit of the practicalities as best as you can determine at this stage of your study how you're going to apply that research methodology. And in another course I talk about finishing off at the end and doing your thesis and dissertation, and I come back to this point and how you'll expand the methodology section of your final report with a lot more of those practicalities. But for now, you won't know everything that you will encounter in your actual study. You need to just demonstrate enough competency around the academic methodology you've chosen, as well as have some idea of the practicalities that you're going to have to deal with. And then very importantly, and a lot of students get this wrong or they don't think it's that important, is you need a plan, or traditionally what this is called is a work breakdown structure. And really what this is for the duration of your study, and at that stage you're not going to have a day-by-day plan or even a week-by-week plan. You're most probably going to have a month-by-month plan. You need to be able to explain to your supervisors, and you often would need to present your research proposal as well, and this is a section that you're very interested in, is to say, okay, so now we approve your research proposal. What is your plan as a postgraduate student to complete this research that you've described in this document? So month by month you need to then break down, and that's what's called a work breakdown structure, all the main tasks that you need to work through to get to the end of your study. And typically, I would do that in a table format. So list everything down in the first column, and then maybe quarter by quarter, or just 6 months at a time in each different table, for example, And the basic phases of your study, you're going to continue to do some basic investigation, you're going to get into some field work, then you're going to do some analysis, and then you're going to validate, write up, and complete. And there'll be different steps for each of those major phases of your study, for different faculties and for different research methodologies. And your research methodology is an important part of that plan, because, like for example, I did grounded theory, and there are a very specific set of steps that don't necessarily go in sequence, and you often loop back to them, but you should broadly be moving through the stages of whatever research methodology you've chosen, and that will give you enough structure to make sure that you stay on track during your study. So that's 5 sections, and then the 6th one is your bibliography. And this just demonstrates that you have started reading the literature, you have started engaging with other published work relevant to the topic that you're going to research. Very important that you start to demonstrate this early on. And one key thing I think that I would leave you with is look for literature that gives you a some sort of framework, either previous work that hasn't studied exactly the same topic. You obviously want to make sure that there's no other work that's studied your exact same topic in exactly the same way that you're going to study it. Otherwise your work won't make a unique contribution to the field. But look for literature where there's a framework, whatever it is, some sort of relationship between key concepts, some sort of diagrammatical visualization of the issues that you're going to investigate or whatever. And then either you're going to be following a deductive research methodology, which is going to be to test an existing theory or theoretical framework, or an inductive methodology, which is going to be to develop a new theory. Whichever it is, make sure that you either keep that framework you're testing as a golden thread all the way through your study, and keep linking back to that. It'll just help you read and help you stay orientated in the relevant literature. Or as you build out a new theoretical framework, make sure that that one then starts to become dominant in your work. But at the stage of your proposal, you should have a decent set of published work that you've consulted and that you've included. In the background, you should be citing and referencing these, and then include them in the bibliography at the end. So, research proposal, 6 things that need to go into there: title, background, research questions, methodology with some practicalities as far as possible, a plan, project plan of how you're going to complete it, and then number 6, a bibliography. And don't underestimate the importance of a research proposal. It will serve you well if you write it well.